Todd County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Let's see, the media will be attending remotely. Commissioners are all present: Denise Gaida, Auditor Treasurer, Chris Pelzer, Coordinator. Other attending would be Lauren Feldbaum, Public Works, Jackie Ock, and Catherine McIntyre, Health and Human Services, Steve Ock, Sheriff, and the media will be attending remotely. All commissioners are present, and we will stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any additions to the agenda, amendments to the agenda?
I have none, Madam Chair.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Newman, seconded by Knizel. All in favor?
Aye.
Next would be consent items.
Our consent items today are meeting minute approval for January 19th, 2021, and January 22nd, 2021. 2.3 malt liquor license, Swanville Sobieski Lions. Appoint health education coordinator and hire part-time road deputy Tyler Winkles.
Is there a motion for the consent items?
So moved to approve.
Motion by Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
And passes. Okay. Denise?
Items I have today are the auditor warrants for January 2021. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the January 2021 auditor warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $1,961,489.01.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. We'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel,
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
Next item I have then is the commissioner warrants. Background was sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $191,397.27.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Roll call.
Commissioner Kircher,
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
Next item I have is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background is set for review. Recommendation to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $44,505.06.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Erickson. Second?
Second.
Second by Newman. I should ask for discussion. Hearing, is there any discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel,
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
Next item I have is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling the amount of $54,494.62.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Any discussion? We'll ask for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Kneisel,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
Next item I have then is the Parks and Trails Board Member appointment. Background, renewal of term and vacancy exist on the Parks and Trails Board. The Parks and Trails Board has provided their past recommendation of appointing Jennifer Kreider as District 2 representative and Al Loken as District 4 representative, and the at-large number 2 remains vacant and are now seeking the Todd County Board of Commissioners' final approval. Recommendation is to appoint Jennifer Kreider as District 2 representative, Al Loken as District 4 representative, and acknowledging the at-large number 2 position remain vacant to the Parks and Trail Board.
I'll ask for a motion for approval for the Parks and Trail Board member.
So moved.
Motion by Knizel, second.
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
The next item I have then is the Todd Wadena Community Corrections 2021 allocation request. Background is the Todd County Board of Todd County budget was set for the Todd Wadena Community Corrections and has been approved at $548,848, and a letter of request has been sent and received allocating and requesting their funds. So options are to approve the fund transfer or do not approve, and our recommendation is to approve the attached resolution for the transfer of funds from the general fund to the Todd Wadena Community Correction Fund for the 2021 allocation.
Ask for a motion for approval for Todd Wadena Community Corrections allocation request.
So moved to transfer.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Erickson. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
The next item I bring forth is the county motor pool amendment to the Facilities Committee. The background is the Facilities Department has utilized an S10 pickup for their department daily task, which was included in the county motor pool vehicle group. This S10 unit served it well for the department since 2010 and is in dire need of replacement due to safety concerns. After discussion with the Todd County Auditor Treasurer, along with a recommendation from the Facilities Department to be assigned use of Unit 19, a Chevrolet Colorado, out of the existing county motor pool vehicle group to resolve the immediate safety concerns and the best use of county vehicles. Our options are to approve the assignment of this vehicle to the Facilities Department or do not. Our recommendation is to assign the Chevy Colorado unit to the Facilities Department for departmental daily tasks.
Okay. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is motion by Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion?
This Chevy Colorado, what was,
Well, we bought those for the motor pool 2 years ago because there was a request that some people needed to have four-wheel drive to get around, and we're not seeing as much use with those two as the demand was requested a couple years ago. Mitch came in to visit with me about future budgeting because that S10 that they were driving was off of a old forfeiture back before 2008, I believe, and at that time, the ditch inspector got it, and it has been, it's been a piece. It's just
that little black one?
that little black one, yeah. The clutch, everything was going out of it now. It was a safety concern. And so he asked if he should go through the process of trying to budget a brand-new vehicle. And I said, well, truthfully, we have 2 of these Colorados in the motor pool unit. You are part of the motor pool unit, but we should probably get board designation so that we don't run any discrepancies of saying, you know, oh, you've got that vehicle signed out for a year. This way we know if we designate it custodial's unit that it's theirs, and we still have an S10 for other staff to use if they would need to have four-wheel drive to get someplace, but.
Denise, are you going to have signage put on this pickup
I
then?
asked Mitch, we did discuss that if he was assigned this through this board action today, that if he would have money in his budget to go to Froggy or someplace like where the sheriff's department goes, to put Todd County Maintenance Crew on their department, so that staff knows, and then he would be assigned that set of keys. They wouldn't be in the lockbox for anybody to take.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And carries.
Which brings us to our next item, our 2021 county motor pool approval to purchase. The background, the county motor pool maintains a replacement schedule for vehicles utilized by county employees for use while performing county business. The Todd County Auditor Treasurer Office has secured bids based on the county motor pool needs. The Auditor Treasurer is recommending the purchase of 4 vehicles with the current funds available. As part of the rotation, 3 of the vehicles will be sold at auction, and 1 vehicle will transfer to our Northern Service Center in Staples, the Northern office. Our recommendations are to approve the purchase or do not, and we are recommending, or that was our options, and our recommendation is to approve the purchase of 4 2021 Chevy Traverses from North Country GMC, totaling the amount of $114,123.80 per the attached purchase agreement.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion for approval for the motor pool vehicles.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, how many miles did we put on in 2020? Do you know?
2020 was a light year, and that's why we didn't make any purchases last year, and that's why this amount is so large. We normally only have 55,000 that we put towards the motor pool, but we didn't buy anything in 2020, so last meeting I rolled it over to purchase. What my studies show, and doing this background, is we do have 4 vehicles in the motor fleet right now that are 171,000 to 200,000 miles on the cars, and those would be 4 Impalas, and those would be moving out of the fleet. And in checking with, I did check with, as I said in the last meeting, I was checking with Ford Company, and they're on the state bid as well as this GM department, and this Ford, to get a little SU vehicle, which has been requested by some staff, well, I should say a lot of staff, because it's hard to get in and out of the cars, whether they're taking their clients, versus whether they're older, elderly, or getting car seats into cars. So we were trying to go with an SUV, and when I was visiting with the gentleman from the Ford dealership, unfortunately, Ford is much, much higher. Just something smaller than the Traverse, which is a mid-size SUV, would have been an Escape, and that base price was $36,000. That wasn't even putting on the add-ons. And then, of course, it just went up from there. If you went to an Explorer, that was $40,000. And then I believe he gave me a quote on police inceptors, and that was like $33,000. So, doing my homework so I could get more vehicles replaced in the fleet since we didn't buy anything last year, I did reach out to Ranger and asked if they were part of the contract, and he said yes, and he could get me the full-size Chevy Traverse, all-wheel drives, everything's on there for $26,200 a piece. So, and then, yeah, $26,307.80 with the transferring of tax and, not tax, but transit license fee or some fee. So I did do my homework on that, and you're right, last year was a slow year, but now that everybody is back and going out, the motor pool is being used extensively again.
Any other discussion?
Oh, and one more thing, those will go to auction, and then that money will go back into the motor pool for maintenance. So that money does come back in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And passes. Yeah. We have the butler at the door.
Stick his foot out.
I know.
For the grand entry.
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right, so this morning, we're just gonna quickly go through our COVID-19 situation update as we do every 2 weeks, and then we'll talk about the expo building and community vaccinations, as that's been extremely frustrating and constantly changing through MVH, so. As of February 2nd, 2021, Todd County has had 2,352 lab-confirmed COVID-19 cases with 31 related COVID deaths. Cases no longer in isolation is 99%, which is 2,332. Gender, we have about 46.4 males that have been positive, with 52.7 females. Age range is anywhere from 2 months to 103 years of age, with an average age range of 44.5. Total COVID tests performed in Todd County as of January 28th, 2021 is 21,140, with a 10.1 cumulative positivity rate. Our current case rate is 13.91. Again, these dates are through January 20th and February 2nd, with 34 cases in that, with that case rate. And again, those are working with the schools and watching with, or helping them through their distance learning. Catherine, I'll let you kind of take it over here to where we are with our expo building and with MDH and receiving vaccine.
Hi, good morning. We continue our Wednesday COVID clinics. What's been difficult is scheduling. Every week we find out what our allocation of vaccine is going to be, and every week we're surprised. Every week we're promised more and we don't get more. So this week we'll be doing 140 doses tomorrow at the Expo building. We're doing 40 second doses, mostly for our EMS firefighters, and then 100 first doses. Those first doses have been still somewhat prioritized for our priority 1A groups, which we're finishing up with our group home, some of our licensed child caregivers, that type of thing, but then opening up the rest to 65 plus. That has still been our priority in Todd County. So we have set in place a new process that we hope will help communicate better to the public when we have vaccine and when they can call for an appointment, because it has been very difficult. As Jackie has said, we have Wednesday clinics. Well, we sometimes didn't know till Monday if we were getting vaccine or not. Now we have a, fingers crossed, better system from the state. We'll be requesting vaccine on Wednesday. We'll be finding out by Friday morning what our allocation will be for the following week. Our plan is, and this is in the newspapers starting tomorrow, I think it hit the Leader B on Sunday, the radio, KEYL, KSKK will run this ad, and we'll also be running a code red alert as well. And then, of course, all of our staff will be communicating the same message. We are encouraging residents age 65 and older in Todd County to call our office, our main number at HHS, the 4500 number, press option 1, and schedule on Friday afternoons. So from 12 to 4:30 p.m. will basically be the time that we'll be able to schedule for the clinic the following week. Right now, those are Wednesdays. That could change, of course. And so that's our hope, that by telling everyone to call at a specific time when we hopefully should know our allocation and be able to open up that clinic, that everyone will have an equal opportunity to call at that time. We have 9 support staff manning the phones, so that should suffice. And of course, Jenna and myself and everyone else is there to provide support during that time. So we feel that that's the best plan we could come up with at this time. We will not be doing an online link scheduling. It really didn't work out well. It's much easier if we just have people call us. We can confirm they're 65. And also we can, if they have questions about the vaccine, we can answer those as well. So that will be our message going out, well, of course, today, tomorrow, for this coming Friday. So again, anyone who's interested in scheduling a vaccine is encouraged to call our main office, HHS, at that 4500 number, Friday afternoons, 12 to 4:30 p.m.
And why we're doing it this way is because we can't anticipate how many vaccines we're going to get based on what we request. We requested a large amount last week to find out we got a very small amount. So we want to be sure that it's going to be a first come, first serve for calling in, and that the people in the northern county, as well as everyone from border to border, have an equal opportunity at one time to schedule appointments. Our last large clinic, I don't think it got throughout our community, border to border. It was very short turnaround time, and it got on the local radio here in Long Prairie, and it was advertised and filled very quickly. So we've been also working with our health system to try and chip away at this population. What's been unfortunate as the smaller health systems have been putting in a lottery to receive vaccine. So if they're fortunate enough to be chosen in that lottery, they'll get some vaccine. Lakewood Health System was not chosen this week to receive vaccine. And by the time we receive notification, it's a very short turnaround time to get these patients, clients, residents scheduled, and let them know that there's vaccine available. So we're hopeful that each week this is gonna be our process, that people can call in, and that it's gonna be equitable for anybody to call in and schedule that appointment at that time.
Madam Chair, if I may, I'm assuming this is your first shot, your first dose that you're talking about. How are we guaranteed we'll get that second round of vaccine?
At this point, we've received second doses, and we do not give those as first doses. So right now in our freezer, I think we have 180 second doses. MDH has given us as much confirmation as we can that we'll get those second doses. They're typically shipped 2 to 3 weeks later. So when you call in for your first dose, anyone who is scheduled for February 3rd is automatically scheduled for March 3rd. At this point, we have no indication that we won't receive second doses. So we automatically schedule everyone 28 days with the Moderna vaccine. And we have been receiving shipments of second doses. So that's been promising.
Because I asked because you're saying you're having difficulty even getting the first one, so I was wondering how the second one is coming, so.
To date,
Far
we've
so
been
good,
we've
huh?
been
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And again, some healthcare systems were told to give a second dose as a first dose, and we're very concerned about that. You know, again, I think healthcare is much more concerned than we are about whether those second doses will be there. But we've been fortunate. Again, the 4 weeks I think also provides a little more flexibility. Healthcare mostly is the Pfizer vaccine. That's a 3-week turnaround. So we're fortunate, and that's just for local public health. It's been pretty consistent, I will say. We've been getting those second doses coming in timely.
So then my other question, Madam Chair, is if you don't get the second dose in time for those that are scheduled, what is the risk then of not completing the vaccine as it should be?
There's no risk. It's just a vaccine efficacy, right? That you get about 50% protection with the first dose. You get about 95% protection with the second dose. They want you to get it as soon as you can,
Yeah.
right? To get that. That being said, if you're delayed a couple weeks, you're not going to repeat the first dose. Do you know what I
think
mean?
the public should know that in case they are
Yep.
scheduled and don't get it, you know.
Absolutely. And at this point, again, everyone we've talked to, again, we've already received shipments of second doses. So it makes me optimistic, I would say, that we'll continue to receive them.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I talked to my neighbor Saturday morning, and he was scheduled for this Wednesday, but you didn't get as many doses so he got knocked off. So he you know, and I just said, well, there ain't nothing they can do about it. They get what they get, that's all, you know. But,
Yep, encourage them to call back.
well, I'm sure he will. But I also was talking to a gal from Wadena County, public nurse, that said that they had one person call in that wanted to get her parents from the cities to get shots. You know, and they said, well, they gotta be Wadena County residents, so we don't, you know. And so that gal was all upset because she couldn't get her parents to come, you know, and get a shot from the cities, but I don't know. It's just,
And those are state-administered vaccines, and we're really trying, all of our surveys that we complete and need to fill out to the state are regarding Todd County residents. So we really try to focus on keeping our vaccines for our residents, even though it's a state-provided vaccine funded by the state. So we really try to vaccinate as much as we can our residents. And I know Wadena and Morrison County are focusing on that as well.
So, Madam Chair, I had a neighbor tell me that his brother stood outside up in Fergus for 2.5 hours. Thank God it's been kind of mild, but he stood out, you know, and I don't know if they were dressed properly for it or not, but kind of caught him off guard. So,
Madam Chair, if I might say, I think we have a very good system, what we have here in Todd County. It's too bad it's underutilized because of the vaccine distribution not coming to us as we would like to see it or have requested. Because I don't believe we've ever had anybody standing outside, and we are able to get people through quickly, and it's very efficient out there.
yes.
That's where my frustrating part comes in, as I had mentioned earlier. But
It is. I think it's the first time, and someone said it very well, in public health history where have a vaccine people actually want and not enough of it, right? In the past, you have vaccine, nobody wants it. And so it's incredibly frustrating. Like Jackie said, we were very optimistic we'd get more vaccine last week. And when we found out what we were getting, it's just disheartening because every day we have people calling and calling and calling. And so, and I encourage people to call again. They can call at any time. We do have a small wait list, about 30 people. That's really for when we have a clinic and there's no shows or extra doses. We do occasionally pull an 11th dose out of our vial. And of course, we have never wasted a dose of vaccine and will not. So we do keep a small wait list. So once we fill up the clinics on Wednesdays, we will allow people to roll to that wait list. That being said, they should still call back on Fridays to schedule because that's really just to have available for that clinic if we need some people to come in at short notice.
And there is some instruction that comes along if your name becomes available on that wait list, that it is going to, we'll call and we'll give you a short period of time to call back, but we have a very limited time that we need to get rid of that dose, and we'll move to the next individual, and there's no guarantee that you'll receive a dose. I mean, we try to schedule people, we do schedule people in 10, but if we do get one extra dose out of a vial, that does throw off our numbers. And then come second dose, we need to manage that as well, because you have one extra person that might be there to receive a dose. So it's a numbers game, but we've been doing a pretty good job at managing that.
Yeah, and our nurses and support staff, I will say, at the end of the clinic are doing an amazing job of just pulling people in, working longer as they're waiting for people to come in. I know last week they had to wait for someone to almost 7 o'clock to come in to get a shot. But again, they're doing an amazing job out there and just making sure that we're doing everything we can to get those doses into arms. So overall, the process at the expo building has worked very, very well. It's just this, waiting game for vaccine, so.
Can I ask a question, Madam Chair? You said you got how many people staffing the phones?
9.
Is that taking away from their regular work?
We're reassigning them based on,
There are times they need to prioritize. The reason we like the calling on Fridays, right, to answer, because Friday afternoons are a pretty quiet time typically for especially our front desk and some of those staff. We've always had about 6 people manning the phones throughout this whole pandemic because part of it's this calling tree, right, that it simultaneously rings at a lot of people's desks, right, because that's what we needed when people were working from home and things like that. So it is a bit taking from, but like all of our staff, they've told they need to prioritize clinic days, they need to prioritize, scheduling, and that's what it's going to be like for the next few months.
Madam Chair, if I might, in reality, the limited number of doses, Commissioner Kircher, doesn't take long to fill with 9 phones. I can imagine.
We filled
Just from
300 doses in
just
5
from
hours,
talking in my
very quickly.
coffee circle, it doesn't take long to fill at all.
it
So
doesn't.
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting. And I think, now listen to this, I haven't followed the COVID stuff very close lately, but the case count in Todd County is good, yes?
Great, right now,
Down
yeah,
a
we're
lot.
at
I
13.
believe I looked this morning and it was a 0. Is that possible
you
from
mean a daily
yesterday,
count?
like daily?
Yeah, last week we had 3 days in a row where we didn't have a
zeros.
case reported. So we are ever since mid-December, we've been dropping dramatically to single digits. And so we have a case here and there. Community transmission is very low, which is wonderful right now, especially with the vaccine coming out, because it'd be unfortunate if we had community transmission high at this point. So yeah, it's been wonderful. Todd County, overall, the state's down below that 5% positivity rate, which is good. Not their cumulative, but what we're seeing in the last few weeks. So that's really positive too. That was sort of the governor's threshold, right? That 5% for, are we controlling community transmission or not? And we were at about, I think for the state, 4.3%.
And that's where he kind of made his decision around the dial back with our communities and what's open and what is not, so.
And then I just have one other comment then too, and only because I haven't really followed anything and maybe you can answer it. Have they changed their testing formats kind of to like at home more so by request? Is that what I'm kind of seeing or reading a little bit behind? More so than going in for it, you can now request a mail-in or an at-home test and then do it that way, is that right?
Go ahead.
It's always been an option. I don't know if they've changed it. I know the schools are using a lot of those saliva-based tests and at-home testing. I think, of course, it's easier to get one now than ever, right, a test. But I know people are still going to healthcare. They're still going. Some of healthcare has flipped over their testing sites to vaccination sites, you know, because
Oh,
it just
sure.
makes a lot of sense. So, but I think the numbers are just so down for anyone getting tested that you're right. There's lots of opportunities now to get tested. I wouldn't say the at-home is more or the saliva-based test, but I know anyone now, you can get tested very quickly, very quick turnaround, which is good.
The biggest difference, just the numbers are down.
Yes.
Thanks.
Madam Chair, I have one question. Where the hell's the flu? I haven't heard nothing. Usually it's on TV or the radio, or you hear nothing about the flu. What's going on?
And, you know, usually we get weekly updates and
I also haven't paid enough attention, but it's like we've talked about, all the precautions you're taking with COVID help with the flu. And that's what's happening right now, is everyone is actually
It's crazy.
taking those same precautions. I mean, I don't think I've been sick for 9 months, to be honest, you know? I mean, it's crazy that just that's what's happening right now, is everyone's washing their hands and wearing a mask and keeping distance and, you know, being careful with those things. And all that stuff prevents respiratory illness, like the flu.
Yeah, 'cause you hear nothing.
It's good.
Any other questions?
thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Well, he even opened the door for you.
Yeah.
He even opened the door for
I
you.
know.
It's sickening, ain't it? Look at-
Morning.
Our one item on the agenda this morning is a request to set a date for our 2021 Spring Road meeting. With that, I gave some options for the board. And the one difference I wanted to point out is I did suggest that at this meeting, we schedule it to have it right here in the Todd County Boardroom, which is different than our normal procedure of having either you guys out at our Long Prairie shop or the northern shop. But I think with the current pandemic, it'd be safer if we just maintained it here. That way we could keep that distance and use this nice facility here. So with that, I'd looking for suggestions on what date to have it.
Suggestions?
22nd, that's a Thursday.
I'm open on the 5th.
How does the 5th work for,
Is that personnel that day for these guys?
no? The 12th would be personnel?
9th, Friday.
Everyone all right with the 5th?
April 5th is Easter Monday, is that right?
Oh, it could be. Yes, it is.
Do we have to work that day?
Pardon?
Nope, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah,
Gary?
That's fine.
April 5th then, 9 o'clock? April 5th at 9 o'clock, I guess.
Perfect. So then typically we just kind of, you guys typically voted in by a motion or something that would work.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Motion by Kircher, second by Newman. Any discussion or further discussion? If not, all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Opposed?
9 o'clock then, right?
9 o'clock, yes.
Excellent, thank you.
Chris?
Madam Chair, I have two board actions this morning. The first board action is to adopt the 2021 AFSCME HHS contract. The background for this is the Todd County negotiations team met with the HHS union representatives, and we have reached a tentative agreement. Highlights of the agreement include no change to health insurance premium cost sharing, a 2% general wage increase for 2021, and elimination of the sick leave bonus. And the options are to adopt the tentative agreed HHS contract or to not adopt. And the recommendation is the Todd County Board of Commissioners authorize the adoption of the HHS unit collective bargaining agreement for 2021.
Do we have a motion for approval for the HHS contract?
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And passed.
Thank you. The second board action that I have is to adopt the 2021 AFSCME Public Works contract. The background for this is the Todd County negotiations team met with the Public Works Union representatives, and we have reached a tentative agreement. Highlights of the agreement include no change to health insurance premium cost sharing, a 2% general wage increase for 2021, and elimination of the sick leave bonus. The options are to adopt the tentative agreed Public Works contract or to not adopt, and the recommendation is the Todd County Board of Commissioners authorize the adoption of the Public Works Unit Collective Bargaining Agreement for 2021.
Is there a motion for adoption of the Public Works agreement, contract?
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes.
Thank you.
Next, we will be going into a closed session. Pursuit Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subsection 3C3 to develop or consider offers or counter offers for the purchase or sale of real estate personal property. Property in consideration is parcel ID 18-0058-200 Genio Store Incorporate. So, we can just go into closed session, correct, after that?
Yep, and we just need a minute, Madam Chair, just to stop the streaming.
Yes. Okay. Welcome, we're back into, session. The time is now 9:50.
Wait.
Welcome to the Broadworks Collaboration Center. You will now be placed into the conference. Press star for help.
Good morning, we're back into, the open session of the meeting. The time is now 9:53. We will go into standing reports. Auditor Treasurer?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I could just give a quick update. We do have upcoming elections I wanted the public to be aware of. The March township elections, which is 21 townships in Todd County that are on the March 9th voting date. Absentee voting opens this Friday, February 5th. And if you're interested in absentee voting for your township election, you can contact your township clerk for any of that voting material. Along with that, we were notified by Staples School District 2170, they will be having a special election. They're proposing another question this time around. The special election will be held April 13th with absentee voting April 26th. That opens that date. And also with that, you would contact the school district clerk for the voting materials for that election. That's
Okay.
all I have.
Commissioners, any reports?
Yes, Madam Chair. We did bring forward the One Watershed, One Plan. We passed it yesterday to Policy Committee to send to Bowser, but before we send it to Bowser, the Water and Soil Boards and the commissioners of Todd, Douglas, Pope, Stearns need to approve it to send it to them. So I'm assuming that'll be on the February 16th agenda. So we can get that down to Bowser. And then Bowser, they figure it'll take 2 months for Bowser to approve it before we can do anything. And then I believe once Bowser approves it, it comes back to the board and we gotta approve it again, so I don't know.
Any other commissioners' reports? Coordinator report?
Madam Chair, just an update on the small business grant relief. I spoke with Rick Utek this morning, and we've received 15 applications in-house, and the deadline for applying is February 19th. So
I
Okay,
guess I could give a report on facility and perm. We do have insurance for this year. But there was another bid, another company that wanted to make a bid, but they wanted a professional to go through the building and make sure there's no hazards that, they are, that we didn't tell them about or whatever. Anyway, so they're gonna do that, and the first quarter will be with MCIT, but if this one goes through, then, the rest of the way will be with this other company, but, MCIT will not cover us next year, they said that for sure. So we gotta start looking for, we decided to start looking for a different company, so
that's been going on for a number of years already.
well, it's been, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's gonna cost us quite a bit this year for the insurance, so.
Have you guys ever gotten a premium back from MCIT for up there?
No, okay.
They're still gonna cover us, for workman's comp and that stuff, the vehicles and stuff, but,
Pick and choose, huh?
yeah.
If there's no other business to come before the board, I'd ask for a motion to recess until February, I believe it's the 16th.
That's correct.
You just recessed.
Okay, I can just recess it
Yep.
till February 16th then. Thank you. Then we'll go in. Okay.
We get there, what am I
Straight
doing?
into work session?
Yeah.
Good morning. We will go into the Todd County Board of Commissioners work session. We have one item on the agenda, and it's draft of emergency closing policy. Attending in person is Steve Ock, Sarah Ogren, Denise Gaida, Chris Pelzer, and all commissioners are present. Okay, who wants to take the lead?
Go ahead, sir.
I can do it. I'm representing the Policies Committee. We've looked at the emergency closing policy and added the 1 and 2 under D, some clarifications. At the same time as we update this in personnel policy, if it comes to board and gets approved, we would like to make a few formatting changes to personnel policy, which will make us more ADA compliant. It won't change any of the verbiage or the language. It would just change a little bit of the formatting. There you go.
Any questions?
Okay, for clarifications, in the red is what you added?
Yes.
Okay,
Anything that was taken out?
No.
Is just what we added to it, that's,
so my interpretation is if you report to work and you're told to go home, or we close, they will get paid for the remaining of the day.
What we added is actually if they're required to shelter, and in the historic courthouse, that would mean going down to the basement, stairwell, and sheltering, as an example, during a tornado.
Yeah.
So if they're required to shelter during their work hours, they get paid, and if they happen to be here during non-work hours, they do not get paid.
if somebody's schedule ends at 4:30 and there's still a tornado outside or whatever, severe weather, and they continue sheltering, the county is not gonna pay them for the time that they shelter during non-work hours.
Madam Chair, we had a couple of instances over the last couple of years where we've had those storms come in like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's always some confusion on, well, do I have to stay? Do I have to stay in the shelter past 4:30 or past my scheduled work time? Really, we're allowing a safe place for those employees to be, but just to make sure that it's clear that once you are past that scheduled work time, that is a non-paid time.
Also in the discussion, we also talked about snow. If there's a blizzard outside and they choose to leave, then they're not being paid. If they choose to stay, they get paid until end of their shift. And then they're either opt to stay or opt to leave, but, without pay, yeah.
And Madam Chair, that has been a part of the policy, that piece about the inclement weather when it's a snowstorm, that's been in the policy already. This was just really that clarification for when you have to shelter here at the courthouse. And it happens at that strange time of the day.
Well, I've always found this strange in this policy, that if you say we're gonna close down the county because there's a blizzard, and employees say, well, you can close it down, but I'm gonna stay at work. I don't quite understand that. Closing, we close.
If we have closed the courthouse, if we have closed, everybody's going home. And if we close, I do believe the employees still get paid because we have closed.
Yeah, we have told them we aren't closing. If they choose, it's a different thing.
Mm-hmm. If they're going home because of their own safety, if they feel like they maybe can't make it home, if they would stay the entire day, they wouldn't be able to make it home. The staff are allowed to go home, and they just take it as vacation or comp time for that time that they go home. This piece of the policy really has to do with when you have to shelter here at the courthouse and you hit that 4:30 time frame, and it just clarifying what happens with being on paid status.
No, I understand that, but it just always confused me that we close the building, say we're closing down, sheriff, county board chair, whoever's made this decision together, and all of a sudden we say, well, you can stay if you want, but we're closing the building down. That makes no sense to me, period.
You're Madam Chair, Commissioner Kircher, you're right. And I don't know if we do that or if that's a department discretion, but I would hope that if we say we're closed, people are home. They go home.
I would hope that, but I think we still left that door wide open, so. We'll stay. But, here, if you close this building, you say we're closing because there's a blizzard and it's dangerous outside. Go home, and then you say, well, I think I'm gonna stay here and work because I got nothing to go home for, blah, blah, blah. Well, that just doesn't make any sense to me, but.
I think if you can consider like 2 levels of closing, if you could say we're closing to the public, because we don't want to put the public at risk coming to get their license renewed. Or we're closing to the public and we're sending all of our employees home. There's 2 different options there. We did close to the public. We continued working here at the beginning of 2020.
Yep.
Or middle of 2020.
No, but that was a long, well, I shouldn't say long, short-term decision we had to go through with the pandemic, but when you have a blizzard, it's a little different situation, and it's kind of immediate, and, so I've never understood that part, so.
Well, and this little bit of verbiage that we've added here, we are also a shelter, civil defense, so our doors do stay open during these times, so if somebody needs to come in and find shelter.
Okay.
Because this will go back to the policy board, correct? Before it comes in front of for approval.
It can if you want some changes made.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Is there any changes that we want to see made on this before it comes in front of the board? And we've hashed this over in policy at quite length. Our major concern was the two that we added on the bottom in the red.
No, I could argue this till I'm blue, but.
You must.
Would you like us, as a
No,
policy
no,
committee, to
No,
add?
you can't do it for
to
every
add anything
situation, but
else?
it's just a guideline anyway,
Yes.
so.
Bring it as is back to the commissioner meeting?
Yep.
Will do.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep, thank you. Amazing the discussion you can have around this.